Hey everyone, welcome back to Live Impact News. Vanessa Rufus here once again. Want to bring in a friend of the show. I'm always calling you a friend of the show, like forever and ever, because like you were like our most common guest, and we love having you.
Part of the family. I
Yeah,
love being here.
exactly.
You know?
The WCNC Charlotte family. We got Bryan Battle joining us here in the Live Impact News studio. We've got our Amro Wairat also, who has been our liaison to the MMA world, including to Bryan. So we appreciate everyone here. We got some big news to talk about. We previewed the fight. The fight happened. You won.
Won. Got
There
a
it
W.
is.
Yes, ma'am.
That's
yes,
the
ma'am.
headline. Tell us about that. How did that go?
Well, yeah, the fight itself was, it was very, it was a tough fight. You know, it was a pivotal point in both of our careers. So he came out, you know, a little bit more conservative, you know, and I'm not going to say I wasn't more conservative. I think, you know, a big point in my whole camp was to, like, be patient, not rush anything, and I guess that was a big point in his fight camp, too, because we were both very, very patient in that fight, which didn't leave a whole lot of openings, so it was tough. It was close, but we were able to just be more busy, be more active, you know, just score more and get the job done, you know. Split decision W. That's, you know, I didn't feel like was a split decision, but, you know, a win's a win. So, you know, I'm not going to complain too much.
Well, Amro, it sounds like you agree this should not have been a split decision.
I didn't think so, no. I think he had 2 of the 3 rounds, and I thought maybe all the judges should have. But he still got it done at the end of the day, and it was a great representation for Charlotte, you know. I just, before kind of getting, which congratulations.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
You know, before we get into how you felt about the win, how did you feel just fighting in Charlotte, period?
Man, it was, you know, it's like this, on one hand, it's just incredible. It's awesome to be around people, you know, that you've grown up with, that you care about, all those things. But it is like, one, there's like an extra responsibility that like comes with it as far as like the promotional end of things, where, you know, there's things, you know, my fight week was a lot busier than it normally would be, you know, just because I have all these like awesome opportunities. You know, I got to throw the first pitch at the Knights game. That was awesome. You know, shout out to Charlotte FC. I got this little custom jersey.
I was going to ask about that. You came in with all the swag.
Got a custom jersey from Charlotte FC. So it's like I was able to have all these cool opportunities and do all these like great things inside the city promoting the fight. But at the end of the day, you know, the most important thing is winning the fight. So it was awesome, but it was a challenge. You know, I would say the number one challenge was not getting caught up in all the hoopla and everything, and like actually remembering it's like, okay, at the end of all this, you still got to get in the cage with this guy who wants to beat you in a fight. So just staying locked in on the goal was a little bit more challenging at home, but, you know, in a good way. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And kind of moving into the fight, how did you feel kind of going into this camp? I kind of recall you kind of taking things a little bit differently this time around. Before you kind of stuck around in Charlotte and just strictly trained in Charlotte. Did you go anywhere else and do anything else to prepare for this fight differently?
Well, yeah, it was really a coincidence. I you know, my lovely significant other, Willow, she lived out in Phoenix. How we met and how everything came to be is a whole crazy story, but, you know,
Don't skimp on the details, especially when you set it up like that.
You know, well, I just say she's a pro volleyball player, and we met. I was training in Vegas for a little bit. She was playing in Vegas. We met each other, but then, you know, just how it is. I live here. She lives in Phoenix. You know, we did long distance. She came out to Chicago. You know, in that like 24-hour period, we saw each other. You know, we managed to conceive a child. You know what I'm saying? So.
Whoa, okay, you did not spare the details. You didn't. Not a detail was spared.
It was a story.
The tea has been spilled everywhere.
No, she was playing pro ball in Greece. Playing pro ball in Greece. I'm over here. She's FaceTiming me. She's like, "Yeah, I'm pregnant." I was like, "No, you're not." She was like, "Yeah, no." Show me the test, and I was like, you know, all that to say, you know, fast forward, you
I'm
know, go
sweating
out to,
right now. All right.
you know, go out to Phoenix to, you know, when she's giving birth to our beautiful child, and just looking for somewhere to train while I was out there. You know, just happened to come across the MMA lab. It was a great fit. And so it just kind of worked out that, you know, this fight was coming up and things lined up that I just like stayed out there and just did the rest of my camp out there. And MMA Lab's a great place, you know, not taking anything away from the people I got here, because, you know, we still would have worked really hard and got it done. You know, I have a great team out here. Shout out Keith Richardson, Modern Warrior, Kevin Ferrant, Highest Stand MMA, you know, Charlotte Jiu-Jitsu, Dime Boxing, all the places out here. You know, we still would have locked in and, you know, got me to where I needed to be. But it was definitely like one of those things, was just right time, right place. You know, me and that MMA Lab, we went together like PB&J, and, you know, came out and felt really, really good for this fight. And, you know, there's a lot of things I think people weren't able to see, like a lot of improvements that people weren't able to see because it was like in the in-between stages. But I was really proud of that performance and really proud of some of the things I did in that fight. So, long answer to a short question, yeah, I went somewhere else, and I felt good going into the fight.
I know that with all that, you know, I'm sure you felt all this adrenaline kind of going in, and, you know, you felt like you needed to perform because you were at home, you were fighting in front of all your fans. When you did get your hand raised, regardless of how did it feel? Did you just kind of like, all of it just kind of was like, wow, I did it?
Yeah, it's just because, one, not only was it winning in Charlotte, but this was my first, what we talked about a little bit, not only my first win in the PFL, but also my first MMA win since 2024. You know, I've won in other things. I got a couple wins in Dirty Boxing, but it's my first MMA win since December of 2024. So it was just a really big, just like, all right, we did that. You know what I'm saying? Now we can move on to the next thing.
Did it feel kind of, I mean, between the Evelyn fight and this fight, did it feel kind of transitioning back into MMA, did it kind of feel a little rusty? I've never kind of taken that much time off from something, so for me to kind of realize where my skill set is going to be, kind of going back into the game?
I would say there was things that, you know, it's like, I think with anything you do in life, if you do it long enough, you know, there's just like certain like little fundamental things that you just like take for granted, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, at the end of the day, once again, no matter what you're doing, whether, you know, you're doing something smart or something business, you know, you always got to take care of the small things that lead to the big things. And so there was just like little things like, you know, defending takedowns. I was letting my base get wider than I need to be, like something super small. As soon as like someone says, I'm like, yeah, why am I letting my base get, you know, like little things like that I think I took for granted going into the Evelyn fight, that we were really like, you know, just like learning from the mistakes, just like looking at it and just like, okay, yeah, there's definitely places I can get better, but then it's also like, okay, there's definitely little things that are adding up that are mistakes I shouldn't be making in the first place. So I would say, yeah, a little bit, yeah, I would say so. Yeah, I was a little rusty.
All that's to say. Okay.
And so now that you have your first win in the PFL, you kind of see where you stand in the division. What's kind of next for you? I know that you kind of hinted maybe IMPA.
Yeah.
Is there any other fighters that you kind of been looking at, or any matchups that you think would be super interesting?
Looking at the numbers, yeah, Impa would be interesting, but Fabian Edwards would also, like, that's one where it's like, all right, you know, if I beat Fabian, you know, that literally puts me right back into a #1 contender spot, you know, and then maybe instead of, you know, fighting someone for the #1 contender spot, I beat Fabian, and I'm just the #1 contender, and then that's like fighting for the belt next. So, and then that would just be kind of a fun, like, little gauntlet. You know, I'm in the PFL for 3 fights. I fight their like 3 best middleweights. You know what I'm saying? Back to back to back to back. So, Fabian would be interesting. But either one of those guys, before the end of the year would be awesome. You know what I'm saying? Just like now we got some momentum going, just keep it going, keep building on it, and you know, have even better performance next time. You know, someone like either one of those guys would be nice too, because like that would also be a break from like the wrestlers. You know what I'm saying? Like that way I can actually really fight how I want to fight instead of having to think about having to stop takedowns the whole time. Be like just instead of figuring out how to stop takedowns and punch someone in the face, I can just worry about punching someone in the face. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Things that I never have to worry about. Do I want to punch someone in the face? I don't know. I want to talk more about Willow.
She wants the tea.
I do want the tea. I mean, in seriousness, did she come to your fights?
Yeah, she was. We had a cute moment afterwards. After I got my hand raised, I ran out of the cage and gave her a little smooch. You know what I'm saying? I'll show you the video afterwards.
Okay.
I saw him do it, so I can attest to it.
Yeah, one of my corner guys, he was mad at me because his girlfriend called him afterwards and she said, "You've never ran out of the cage," and gave me. He was like, "Thanks, Brian. Now the standards change."
Yeah.
Like, my bad, bro. You know, love's a crazy thing.
Yeah, that's what you got to do too. You level it up.
Yeah.
You got to raise to the standard.
Raise the
We're
bar.
not lowering the
That's
standards
right.
here.
That's right. That's right. We're raising the bar. Damn it.
Actually, now like we said that you are in the PFL and kind of seasoned in it, what's the clear difference? How do you feel fighting in the PFL compared to the UFC?
Well,
If there's any difference.
What's interesting is like the UFC, I was like working my way up and it was like a meteoric rise and I was just getting to like the upper echelon, whereas like in the PFL it's just like kind of just touches like just off the jump, just swimming with the sharks. Like it's like fighting their best guys off the rip, and then like not only that, it's like I'm not a mid-card like guy working my way up. It's like literally just first two fights, two main events, you know what I'm saying? Like fighting the best guys. So it's just that is, you know, it's like if you want to be the man, you got to beat the man. And it's like here, it's like I'm put in a position where it's like, okay, yeah, you want to be the man, cool, but you got to beat these guys. And it's like, all right, you know, that's what I want. I'm happy to be here, but it's something I have to take like deathly serious. You know what I'm saying?
I'm sure there's no really, the skill difference is not
Yeah.
is not really there. Especially the PFL has a very stacked middleweight division. So.
Nah, their middleweight division is definitely, I mean, it's one of those things, once again, someone like Eblin, you know, Strickland, who's the champ of the UFC, speaks extremely highly, you know what I'm saying, of Eblin. You know, Eblin and him have very competitive rounds. So, you know, it's one of those things where perception is reality, you know what I'm saying? At the moment and for the foreseeable future, you know what I'm saying, UFC is always going to get that rub, and for good reason, you know what I'm saying? Like, those guys are incredible. But I do think, you know, PFL definitely, people think, kind of like we just said, like they're lesser fighters when it's just really people just know them less, you know what I'm saying? Which, you know, kind of makes it tougher on the other hand, 'cause you know, you're having fights against people who are just as tough, as just people know them less. So that's like another added layer of pressure, you know?
Do you think we'll get you back in Charlotte for a fight?
I mean, I know, like, PFL loves coming to Charlotte. And I
Yeah.
know last year, before I was on the card, they had a great event. And I think this year, like, the turnout was great. I think the event went really, really well. And they like coming out here. So, you know, hopefully this time next year, you know, I'm fighting for the title in Charlotte. You know what I'm saying?
That'd be cool.
That'd be awesome. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Certainly hope to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I feel like this was like The Hobbit, an unexpected journey. We went everywhere we could possibly go. We talked about all the things.
Yeah.
But we can't wait to have you back.
Yeah.
'Cause it's always a delight.
Next time it'll just be tea. We won't even talk about fighting.
I love
We'll
that.
Just come
We'll
in
have a
and
tea
just
party. I'll make some tea. I'll bring the crumpets, and we will talk. All right. Thank you so much, and
It was a
congrats
pleasure.
again.
Thank you so much. Thank you, brother.
All right, folks, we'll take a quick break. We'll be back in 2.